Good day everyone, this is RHEENA'S, and for today's video, I will be going to answer some questions about the stages of photosynthesis. Number 1 is, what is the difference between light-dependent reaction and light-independent reaction? The difference between light-dependent and light-independent reactions affect on plants is that during light-dependent, it needs light to react, unlike light-independent, it doesn't. Light-dependent reactions happen by producing ATP and NADPH from all the energy that comes from the light. That's why light-dependent can't react because it depends on light to do so, unlike light-dependent. Light-independence reaction occurs when fixing the carbon dioxide into the glucose using the ATP and NADPH produced in the light-dependent reactions. Therefore, light-dependent reaction can't happen without light unless ATP, CO2, and NADPH is present to react. Light-dependent reactions capture the energy directly from the light and convert it into chemical energy. Light-independent reactions are reactions that use the energy to produce sugars such as glucose. Number 2. How are photons utilized and absorbed in the first place of photosynthesis? The overall purpose of the light-dependent reactions is to convert light energy into chemical energy. This chemical energy will be used by the Calvin cycle to fuel the assembly of sugar molecules. The light-dependent reactions begin in a grouping of pigment molecules and proteins called a photosystem. Photosystem exists in the membranes of thylakoids. A pigment molecule in the photosystem absorbs one photon, a quantity or packet of light energy at a time. A photon of light energy travels until it reaches a molecule of chlorophyll. The photon causes an electron in the chlorophyll to become excited. The energy given to the electron allows it to break free from an atom of the chlorophyll molecule. Chlorophyll is therefore said to donate an electron. To replace the electron in the chlorophyll, a molecule of water is split. This splitting releases an electron and results in the formation of oxygen and hydrogen ions in the thylakoid space. Technically, each breaking of a water molecule releases a pair of electrons and therefore can replace two donated electrons. Number 3. Summarize the process of light reaction and Calvin cycle. Light reaction is the first stage of photosynthesis process in which solar energy is converted into chemical energy in the form of ATP and NADPH. The protein complexes and the pigment molecules help in the production of NADPH and ATP. In light reactions, energy from the sunlight is absorbed by the pigment chlorophyll and is converted into chemical energy in the form of electron charge carrier molecules such as NADPH and ATP. Light energy is utilized in both the photosystem 1 and photosystem 2 present inside the thylakoid membranes of the chloroplast. The carbohydrate molecules are obtained from the carbon dioxide from the use of chemical energy gathered during the reactions. The light energy tends to split into the water and later is dropped the electrons from the photosystem 2. Then the electrons move from the photosystem 2 to cytochrome to photosystem 1 and reduce in the form of energy. The electrons are re-energized in the photosystem 1 and the electrons of high energy reduce NADP plus into NADPH. Next, the process of Calvin cycle. The Calvin cycle is the process that plants and algae use to turn carbon dioxide from the air into sugar. The food autotrophs need to grow. Every living thing on Earth depends on the Calvin cycle. Plants depend on the Calvin cycle for energy and food. Other organisms, including herbivores, also depend on it indirectly because they depend on plants for food. Even organisms that eat other organisms such as carnivores depend on the Calvin cycle. Without it, they wouldn't have the food, energy, and nutrients they need to survive. The carbon cycle has 4 main steps: the carbon fixation, reduction phase, carbohydrates formation and regeneration phase. Energy to fuel chemical reaction in this sugar generating process is provided by ATP and NADPH, chemical compounds which contain the energy plants have captured from sunlight. And the last, what are all the byproducts of light-dependent reaction and light-independent reaction? The products of light-dependent reactions are ATP and NADPH, while the product of the Calvin cycle are NADP plus ADP and a sugar.